seven different types of agendas with respect to their education. We have to have one broad, per the Constitution, agenda for education. Same thing with health care. Medicaid reform and whatnot had to occur years ago because of the cost, but it's clearly important that we have a statewide policy. I've never been wild about passing a lot of bills. I think we have enough laws on the books right now, quite frankly. We should tweak them a little bit each year. And with respect to the Supreme Court and the appeals courts and whatnot, as they interpret some of the laws that we pass, and I judge, we passed a couple of bills that didn't quite meet the muster in the court. Not that I agree with it, but you're absolutely right. As bills move forward through the process, they get amended, and sometimes even the bill sponsor at the end of the day doesn't recognize his own or her own bill. So clearly, we have to make sure that the laws that we pass are good, fair, and equal, and everyone gets a chance to speak, everyone gets a chance to debate. And I'll turn it back to you.
We see your name from time to time in the news as a possible candidate for political office. What would convince you to get back in, and what caused you to get involved in the first time?
Well, I've always been interested in politics. It's one of those things where I just felt I could add something to the mix. In 1996, I became very unhappy with a lot of things that were going on in state and federal government, so I chose to run in '98. And let me tell you something, if you're going to run for office, if your election day is 1998, you start in 1994, you make friends, and you help other people. You make other people be successful. You give them credit for everything that happens. Because at some point in time, they're going to return that favor. The best type of leadership is servant leadership, where you are serving the folks that have elected you to be into whatever position you're in. And I ran for 8 years. I frankly believe in term limits. I'm one of the few that probably believed in that. When I came to the Florida House in 1998, I was full of vim, full of vigor. I would debate issues. I would debate policy heads. I would debate policy. I would debate budgets. And after a while, by the time 05 and 06 rolled around, I was okay, whatever. Whatever, okay. I mean, you get worn out. It's time for fresh blood to come in. Someone new. And I firmly believe that this country was founded by farmers who left their farms to go to serve their country, and they came back home. By merchants who left their business, served their country, and came back home, not full-time political professionals. So I served my 8 years, and I'm back home running my businesses. In fact, I think this is the third time I've been back in the chambers since I gavelled them down in May of 2006. So that's why I think you would have a very difficult time getting me to run for another office. But thank you for asking.
Chief Justice Harding, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you were a younger man?
When they quit speaking. When I thought about that question, I think my answer would be, there are no coincidences. All of life's experiences, from the time I walked into my parents' bedroom and suggested I get a raise in my allowance, and the response was that they had been talking about that and thought that I should work 35 cents an hour. That was back in 1947 and probably not all that bad, but in any event, that I should be paid 35 cents an hour for any work I did around the house. But we had a guy that did the lawn, we had a person who cleaned the inside of the house. There was just nothing that I could do, and I saw the handwriting on the wall that if I wanted any money, I'd better find a job and work for it. And so for the 6 years I was in junior high and high school, I carried paper around. And while that might have been an inconvenience and somewhat of a devastation, I never had any problem taking my dates out to dinner during high school. And when I went off to college, I had money for the extracurricular activities that my folks did not deem appropriate to pay for. got to class in my senior year of high school, and my friend Jim Ward, with whom I had been in school since the 2nd grade, said, "Where are you going?" And I said, back to the homeroom. And he said, "Let's go to Wake Forest." We were having college day at Central High School there in Charlotte. And I don't know that I'd ever heard of Wake Forest, but in any event, in order to avoid the reality of going back to homeroom, I went to the place where a professor from Wake Forest was there, and it opened up an opportunity and a vision for me that I would never have had the opportunity for had I not met Jim in the hallway. I think about when I was in the service and how I had gone to law school to avoid being drafted as a private, but I ultimately graduated and got a commission. And I didn't think I wanted to go to be a lawyer. I thought I wanted to work for a bank. But I had the opportunity in the JAG to try some cases. And I found that the law was something that I really loved. All of these things may have been coincidences to some, but I have found in my life that they were stepping stones upon which I was able to walk and to fulfill some of the most happy, wonderful years of my life as a husband and as a father and as a judge. When I went back to Jacksonville, I got involved with a ministry to inner city kids, and it was through that ministry that I became a judge in the juvenile court, and then later on with the circuit court, and later on with the Supreme Court. And so at those points in time, according to when I was a younger person, I might have thought of them as just happenstance or coincidences. But as I have grown old, I have realized that there are no coincidences, and all of the things that you do from the time you're right now for the future are the stepping stones for what you will ultimately accomplish in life. And to that extent, I wish you well. Thank you.
United Facebook friends. And I know that you use Facebook to help along with the campaign process for the Florida House here. How do you see Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking technology sites increasing in their roles in American politics?
You're right. We are Facebook friends, and it's a great forum to get out and connect with friends. To connect with friends, I thought Justice Harden was asking about Facebook since he asked for force for us. But no, but seriously, it's a great forum to connect with friends, to connect with constituents, and so for me, I use it in that regard. I use it to reach out to friends, to reach out to constituents in my district and outside of my district, to let them know what's going on right here in the state capitol. Many times you'll see members even in this very chamber will get on their Blackberries and send out tweets or what have you that say, okay, look, we're working on this issue. We're voting on House Bill 17 today. And it gives the folks back at home, fortunately for me, it's only 7 minutes away, but it gives folks back at home throughout the state to say, okay, wow, I need to tune in. This is an issue that was important to me. This is something that I want to follow. Or when session's not in, it gives a member, or a candidate, or a politician the ability to reach other folks that they can't reach. But most of the times it's normally going in to shopping malls or community centers or just out throughout the community trying to reach their voters. And so it's a way to get out and let them know about what's going on. For me, the other ways that I use it, and I go back to my friend Ramon Alexander. When I was campaigning, we had an event right when school was starting back up, Florida A&M, and we wanted to get some students involved in the campaign. And Ramon said, look, I'll take care of the college students. You just give me a place to have it. And Ramon sent out a Facebook message, and I think a matter of 5 hours, we had about 200 people at the campaign headquarters. Keep in mind, we had pizza and soda and a DJ, but at the same time, you know, the time it would have taken to call all these folks and to have Gallup Franklin's new student body president, Florida A&M, and all those folks come down to campaign headquarters would have been very, very difficult. So it has a number of advantages, but also it gives you the ability to reach people you don't even know. For example,